We're live on YouTube.
There's a little bar going across my screen, so I think it takes a minute to go live to YouTube.
I think we're up and going.
Yeah, so we are now live on YouTube.
Hi, Adrian.
Hello. Oh, hello. How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Good luck for webinar.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is Cinzia. This is the CEO of Special Insert. So thank you for making the surprise appearance. So hello to everybody. All right. So hopefully we'll see everybody from YouTube here. We might have to abandon live on YouTube if it starts slowing down the connection. But so far so good. Any of the participants? Can anybody message if there's any trouble seeing or hearing us?
Looks like John Murphy here just checked in and said it looks good to him. So I think we're okay.
All right, I'm assuming the live on YouTube thing is working. So I guess whenever you're ready, John, to kick us off.
Great. Well, welcome everybody. I do want to welcome everyone to today's discussion here on the FastCon removable panel anchor. This is a brand new anchoring system released by Special Insert last month. So we're excited to introduce this to everybody. We've sent out plenty of literature and emails and everything to you guys. So thank you for joining us today. Before I do get into everything, I do want everyone to know we are recording this. We are live on YouTube right now. So we'll have multiple avenues so that you can go back and watch this if you, let's say, have to check off for some reason or you couldn't make today's discussion. So, and also this whole discussion is meant to be more interactive than your standard webinar. So feel free to drop any questions in the Q&A box on the Zoom. You can go in the chat box as well. We'll take a look at both of those, and if we see any questions, we'll be happy to answer them after a little initial discussion here. So before we get into it, I do want to introduce everybody. We have the National Sales Manager here at Chemical Concepts. You heard him here earlier, Andrew Morris. Andrew, how's it going?
Hi, everybody.
Joining him will be the team out in Italy there. First, we have Andrea Delino. Andrea?
He's behind the camera at the moment.
There he is, yeah.
Hi.
We have Andrea Sanwa. Andrea, how are you?
Hi. Thank you.
And we have the great Giovanni Spandre. Giovanni, how are you, man?
Hello, everybody. Welcome from Italy.
Well, awesome, guys. Well, let's get into this. First off, I guess I'll just ask you, Andrew. The team out in Italy knows these well, but I'll ask you as another American to American here. What is the FastCon?
Yeah, so the FastCon is a removable fastening system, and it consists of two components, a male and a female, and they snap together, which allows for a really fast, secure, and reusable connection between parts. So there are currently two versions available. There's a 301 and there's a 316 stainless. And as you know, Special Insert gets ready for the to do some of the live demonstrations, you'll get to see some of these parts, in more detail. But that's the basics.
Great. And I guess we can just go right to the team and ask them how do you install this fastener, Giovanni?
So let me quickly introduce about how is this system composed. This system is based on a female and a male component. Female is available in two different materials, stainless steel 3016 or 3001. Both are marked in the bottom of the insert, so are very easy to be divided.
Look at that.
This system will give two different performance with minimum retaining force of 7 kilos for the 3016 and 10 kilos for 3001. But let's go to the most interesting part. How do we use FastCon? The most common application of FastCon is in the wall panel. Now we will do in practice an installation of a panel in a wall panel. So basically you have to prepare the wall with a subtractor. When you have this subtractor ready, you just have to find a point that more or less is inside the subtractor. And when you find it, you just can screw in the female in this case. You do it for typically 4 points for each panel.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to point out was on the strength, the amount of force it takes to disconnect them. For the 301 stainless, he said it's 10 kilograms. So that's 22 pounds for our American friends. And that's the 316 stainless is 15 pounds. So that's the amount of force it takes to disconnect the panel per fastener. Sorry to interrupt.
So once you have placed the female in this position, you have to put the center point. You can easily snap in the centrator as well. Once you fix all the 4, you just have to bring your panel. Put it in position if you need for your assembly some spacer, like in our case, you place it. And you have just to slightly push or slam it to get it signed. You see that you have the mark.
There you go.
With the centrator. And after that, you easily screw in the nail as well.
Yeah, so that's a question we've been getting a lot so far, is how to align them. And so that's, you can see that center point clearly. That makes the alignment very easy. I like that.
With this system, either if you are not producing the panel by CNC machine, you can be sure to fasten the nail in exactly the correct position that the females require.
Yep. That's another idea, is if you are using a CNC machine, you can use a little tool just to mark a spot on your panel.
First of all, we remove the center.
Yeah.
And then simply press in the panel. And you see also the snap noise you get it when you put it in position that ensure you that is correctly fastened.
Great.
Okay, so that is the most easy and common case where we are using a wooden panel that makes our life very easy. But thanks to our wide range of components, we can have a different opportunity to fasten FastCon with the more various material. For instance, one that can be a very common application is if you have to install it in a metal sheet or metal tube, like in this case. You can simply perform a drill, place in position a blind rivet nut, deform it, and screw it in the male or the female, as you prefer. Most easy but not removable way could be to perform a drill and place a simple blind rivet and pull it to get this final solution.
Right.
Of course, we can go either in more complicated material, like one of our top performance that are the keep nut for all the stony material and solid surfaces. You can place it whatever you like, male or female, and you can have it inside the stone with a very strong resulting performance.
Right. So with the keep nut, you can use it for stone, for plastics, for solid surface. And if you're not familiar with the keep nuts, message us. We can send you some more information on those. But that's what I'm seeing you show us, Giovanni, is how flexible the system is, where you've shown us already, you can use it with screws, you can use it with keep nuts, you can use it with rivets.
One that we are just talking very quickly now about the versatility of the system. A very common application for FastCon is in the Honeycomb panel. In the Honeycomb panel, we have different solutions. One can be just bonding directly the FastCon. You can directly glue into the surface with excellent result. Or for more structural solution, we can perform it with our patented TCSC1, an hybrid system composed by blend-driven nut together with glue, put it in position by a grab. And we have making this panel both the solution, just to let you know how it is.
Yeah, so we've been getting a lot of questions on honeycomb panels for elevator applications, where people want to have lightweight panels for an elevator. They're asking us, how do you mount it? So the ability to glue on the fastener directly, that's a great solution where it gives you that flexibility where you can glue it on the one side, and then on the other side, it could be screwed or riveted or mechanically fastened to the wall. So that could be interesting for a lot of the viewers here.
Exactly, you say right, Andrew. One more interesting thing we can do with FastCon is flush mounting. In the first installation, we have seen that we have placed it directly on the surface of the material. But if you're using a drill bit of 1 inch diameter, you can
1 inch drill bit.
perform an undercut and place it inside the female or the male, as you like, to be able to place the tile exactly flush without any gap between the substructure. We can see now how to install this honeycomb panel in exchange to the previous one. As you can see, we can make a perfectly flat and flush solution between the tiles, ensuring the same distance between the materials.
Yeah. So in the US, we call that kind of bit that you showed, we call that a Forstner bit. So if anyone's asking about what kind of bit you would need, so to do that flush mounting, you would use a 1 inch Forstner bit. And then you could use a paddle bit too, but I think the Forstner bit's a little better. With the paddle bit, they tend to have a longer point. And so if your material is thin, you're probably better off with a Forstner bit where you might not go through the material or make a point any deeper into the material than you want to.
Exactly. Then we have another case that we can find. For instance, this is a tile of porcelain. The technology we showed you before to use the marker, in this case, will be quite difficult because first, the porcelain is very hard, and then the surface is very raw, so you cannot see easily a simple point. In this case, we just reverse the application. We place first the female on the tiles, then we put the center over there, and then go to the substructure and mark it for the right position.
Right. So you can either put the female side on the wall or you can put the female side on the panel, depending on whatever's easier. So whichever material is harder.
The way that will be easy for you to mark the panel or to install it.
There we go. And then I saw that Andrea used the removal tool to get that panel off. Could you show the camera the removal tool briefly?
Of course, this is our removable tool that we have developed to make it easy in the different position and in the different shape of the tile. We can go easily also in this way and then press to make a lever over there or lightly do it in this way. And we have this item as well to make the life easy of the fabricator.
Okay. And so basically all you're doing is just simply getting behind the panel and just applying some force next to, probably close to the fastener in order to release it. Yep. There you go. And then once you get started with one corner, it can be pretty easy to get the whole panel loose.
Yeah, the important thing is to create a point when you can apply a lever. After that, you will remove it easily.
Right. Now, if you don't have access, is there some other ways that you could do to remove that panel if it might be difficult to get something into the corner?
Well, if you have a slide tile, you can use a vacuum system to hold from the vacuum over there, and then put the force on all the tile to remove it. If
so vacuum or suction cups would be
suction cups, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
so one thing I wanted to ask real quick to the audience is everybody hearing everything okay, and is everyone seeing everything okay? Is there anything that we could repeat that's been said so far, or so far everyone's tracking with us? I just want to check in, make sure everyone's with us here. Feel free to write in the chat or in the Q&A if you can hear us all right. I see we've got at least a couple of questions. All right, well, I guess while people are getting back to us on that, if you have a minute, please comment on whether the audio is okay. If there's anything that we already said that you didn't quite hear, feel free to ask us to repeat anything. That's fine. So I see a gentleman, Floyd, put a question about the wind load capacity. Can you talk about that for a second, Giovanni?
sorry, Andrew, I lost your voice for a while. You want to know the capacity?
Yeah, for wind. Can you talk about wind specifically?
Yeah, no, we don't talk about wind, but you have to calculate that if we consider to have the maximum force per point of 10 kilos, it's very difficult that you put enough fastener to hold the force that the wind is able to perform. As you know, we have our keep nut that is homologate for cladding facade, and we are talking about hundreds of pounds per point to be able to perform wind resistance.
Right.
In this case, you can use it has been developed for interiors application, but you can use it easily also in the exterior, but when they are repaired, they are not in the open air. Otherwise, I think that no engineer will sign the project with the FastCon.
Yeah. So to kind of add up to that. So yeah, I agree. We've had a couple of questions about this already. So probably would not recommend it. And it's all about how many you use, but I think it wouldn't be practical. You'd have to use so many of them. But you probably wouldn't do an entire facade. But an application that we do think is interesting for facades is an access panel. So perhaps the rest of the facade is fixed with keep nuts, but you have one panel that's ground level, that's not overhead, so it's not so much of a safety factor, and then that's just hiding some plumbing or hiding a gas meter or hiding some other piece of valve or something that needs to be accessed, electrical, what have you. So maybe a low to the ground access panel would be a good application on a facade. So I just wanted to throw that out there if anyone on the call is involved in facades, which it sounds like based on the question, maybe they are. So
yeah, you say right. The inspection panel on a facade is suggested as application, but anyway, it's according to the engineer that have to make the design and the evaluation of the complete system.
Right. And the important thing for the engineers is those two, is, the pull-out force for the two types, the 301 and the 316, and then the shear force. So I believe you said the shear force was what, around 55 pounds per?
Correct. We have 55 pounds per point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So we have another question about an interior wall or a fireplace application. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the most important characteristic of the FastCon and the reason why we have developed it is that FastCon is completely made of stainless steel. That stainless steel, first of all, is a metal and so is completely fireproof. Because as you may know, when you are making a wall panel and you have the unfortunate situation to get fire inside, if you use a plastic fastener, the tile will be detached, either if the fastener is not burning, but just because it's melting. So the first characteristic we find to make our product interesting is to have it in metal. And so we can grant the full resistance to the fire and to the high temperature. Then we decide to use stainless steel because one of our biggest market is in the marine industry. That you know, when you have this kind of application, they must be salt spray proof, because when you are working closer to the sea, the oxidation of the metal is a really big problem.
Yeah, good. And you know, while you're discussing the flammability, I wanted to bring up on the screen. We were having some problems earlier with my sharing my screen, but can you guys see this? John, can you see this?
I can see it.
Okay, so this is you know, you kind of started to talk about the flame resistance as being one benefit. So let me take away the spotlight on this here. Okay, so now this should be the main window, hopefully, that everybody sees. So, you know, the question is, you know, why use the FastCon, or why is the FastCon different than other similar solutions on the market? And the main difference is kind of what Giovanni was just saying, which is there are similar solutions on the market that are made of plastic. And what's unique about, there's a couple things that are unique about the FastCon, but one of them is the fact that it's stainless steel. So that gives you the flame resistance and the corrosion resistance, the flexibility of the use. So as you saw earlier, that you can use it in so many different ways, using so many different fastening methods without having to buy, you know, this is all with the same type of FastCon. You know, there's only 2, so there's not like, you know, 100 different part numbers of the types of FastCons, and just the ease of installation, and then the size of the footprint. And then the other thing compared to the plastic is this here, which is the long service life, so the durability. So one thing that we've seen is that over time, the plastic pieces will start to lose performance. So as the plastic ages, the properties don't maintain, and you won't have the same level of performance. Where we've tested with stainless steel for years and over hundreds of repetitions, you'll see that long-lasting performance. So that also factors into the total cost, you know, of ownership. Where if you're having to replace the plastic fasteners every so often, you could bring your overall cost down. So let me try the next thing, which is, did you see the slide change, John?
You're still sitting on the FastCon one here.
Okay, so that's the problem.
You're good. Looks like you're good.
Yeah, before it was taking like 2 minutes to switch panels. So the other thing Giovanni's touched on was, you know, applications. So you kind of saw, you know, a general kind of interior panel application. So this is a little bit more so talking about industries. We see, you know, marine, that's where you'd use the 316 version, transportation, rail car, RVs, construction access panels, interior design, and then, you know, there's a whole host of other things that we probably couldn't capture in a graphic like that, but that's probably the main uses. And then for specific applications, you know, we're seeing access panels, elevator panels, for boats, headliners, ceiling panels. We see a lot of applications. We're getting a lot of interest in signage, you know, seat cushions or seating where you need to remove the seating. One thing that we're getting some interest in is food prep surfaces. So maybe in commercial kitchens, maybe you want to use a polypropylene or polyethylene cutting board, and you want to be able to remove that cutting board and clean it. And then the interior architectural panels or interior panels. So I just wanted to share those graphics with you to give you guys a good demonstration on that. So anyway, I'll go back to the live video here.
Andrew, just kind of, I saw a couple questions about this in the chat box, the 301 and the 316. So you said the 301 is your standard fastener, where the 316 is going to be for marine grade. Can you clarify that a little bit more?
Yeah, so let me put this on the screen again. Let's see. So let me share this just to give you a visual. So yeah, this is a good comparison, and I'll remove the spotlight here. So it's 22 pounds of force to disconnect the 301, and it's 15 pounds of force to disconnect the 316. And then the 316 is the one that you'd recommend for marine applications, but the cost is going to be a little bit higher compared to the 301. So for that reason, the 301 is going to be your go-to for the majority of applications, except if you want either a lower disconnect force or if you want a marine application that's going to be around, salt spray, for instance.
Correct.
Andrew, we had a little bit of a delay there, so I'd sit on this screen for a second.
Okay. So I'll just leave, while you start asking the next question or something, we'll just leave that on the screen so you can keep it moving if we need to.
We've got a question here from Benoit. He asked any recommendation for adhesives or glues when glued on ceramic or metal?
Yeah, so that's what we are. For those of you here that aren't familiar with Chemical Concepts, we really are, and that's the name of the company, Chemical Concepts. We really are adhesive experts. So I don't know if I can make a blanket recommendation. We can make recommendations on adhesive based on what material you are bonding. So if you're bonding to metal, I'll just throw out some adhesives. So Lord Maxlock would be a good selection. There's also Chemset Ultralock. I could recommend an exact part number, but those would be two products I could recommend off the top of my head. If you're going to a stone material, we'd probably recommend some type of epoxy, maybe the Lord 310 or one of the Huntsman epoxies. But the easiest recommendation I can make is just to get in touch with us with what your plan is, what the material you're bonding, what the application is. And then also your process requirements, whether what kind of speed, working time you want, whether you're going to be bonding it vertically or horizontally. So what consistency do you want it? And we can make the recommendation in terms of what adhesive to use. And then we stock a wide variety of adhesives, so we can get this, whatever the right product is, we can get it to you quickly.
Thanks, Andrew. Got a question here. Are both the fasteners, the 301 and 316, are they both the same gauge thickness?
Correct. Yes. They have both the same dimension, exactly.
Perfect. All right. And I guess that answers the question. Is the 3/16 a slightly thinner since the lower removal force to compensate for the higher grade of stainless steel?
No, it comes from the different elastic properties of the material. The 301 is more elastic than the 316, so it holds tight to the same nail. Just for this chemical properties of the two different metal, we get with the same thickness of material, same gauge of diameter, different performance.
Excellent. So this was supposed to be a kind of a shorter event than our normal webinars that we usually schedule for an hour. This one we kind of budgeted for 30 minutes, so we're kind of right on time here. But we can hang on for a couple more minutes if you guys have more questions, if there's anything anybody wanted to see. So I'll kind of put a kind of last call out there for any questions that anyone might have.
So Andrew, there's still a couple questions open here. I got one. I guess this has to do with more of installing to like a metal or a cast metal or a cast brass. And you could tell me if I'm wrong. Would you be gluing these onto those surfaces?
Well, it depends on. So gluing would be a great option if you're putting onto metal. The advantage of using adhesive There's several. Number one, you don't have to worry about, an aesthetic issue on the reverse side. So it'll be aesthetically pleasing. It won't be much risk of read through or burn through. I think the square footage per pound strength, let's say per square inch strength of the adhesive, will exceed the shear strength of the FastCon. So the adhesive, if you're worried about, the performance, I think the adhesive will not be the weak link. Most of the adhesives that we sell on metal will have 2,500 pounds per square inch, for instance, in shear. So where we're only talking about 55, so it'll be plenty of strength, is what I'm trying to say, to hold up the FastCon for what it's rated to do. Ease of use and flexibility, and not everybody can weld, not everybody has welders on staff, so that would be a good option. If you don't mind about going through this material, or the reverse side isn't visible, you could use rivets, you could use blind rivet nuts, you could use just machine screws, you could drill and tap the material. If your metal is thick enough, you could even use a keep nut and put a keep nut if you have, say, 10 millimeter metal or more. And then I don't know about welding. I mean, I'm not an expert on welding. I know with welding different materials together could be difficult.
No, but it cannot be suggested in this case.
So
you can use a welding stud, for instance, and then screw in, because when you apply big electricity discharge and you can cause an overheating, you can change the elastical properties of the metal.
So it's a heat-affected zone.
If this process is not exactly under control, is not suggestible by us.
Okay, yeah. So actually, I was watching a webinar the other day on using adhesives with welding, and they talked about heat-affected zones and that weakening the material. So with this being an elastic fastener, so that's not recommended. But again, since the adhesive will work very well for this, I don't see why you would need to weld it unless you just really wanted to. But we wouldn't recommend that anyway.
Awesome. Got one here too. As far as the gap between the two panels, I'm assuming that's a question here from Grant. What is the overall thickness when the two parts are engaged? Now, you mentioned it. You can do a flush mount, and then you can do a off the wall mount. Do you know what that thickness would be or should be?
Technically, we can make a flush mounting with either no space between the panels. But our suggestion is to always keep a minimum distance to be able to place a tool to open it later on, because otherwise it can be very, very difficult. So we suggest you to keep about 1.5 millimeter during the assembly to ensure a quick and easy and safe removal of the parts. But technically, you can put all the panel together in contact with no gap between.
Right. And then when you're doing a surface mount, like on the other side there, do you know what that measurement is if you're doing a surface mount?
If we make this kind of mounting, we get about 12 millimeters, let's say ½ inches.
Yeah, so about a ½ inch gap if you're doing a surface mount.
You make a surface mount. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that certainly makes sense.
I got another question here.
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. Sorry, John. So that piece that Giovanni was just holding, that's a little. Can you pick that up again? The demonstration piece.
Yes, this is a very compact demonstration kit where we can put together different materials. We have made one panel of HPL, one panel of Honeycomb, and one panel of MDF wood. So in let's say in a very small space, we have flush mounting, mounting with blind rivet nut, and we have the screw, the simple screw on the wood, and keep nut in the HPL.
Excellent. Yeah, and the salespeople at Chemical Concepts have these demonstration pieces. If you're local to one of our sales reps, we'd be happy to come and visit you and show you this demonstration piece in person. We also have these demonstration kits available for sale. If you either want to demonstrate it internally or you want to demonstrate this to a customer of yours or to a end user of your application or whoever, if you have any use for something like this, we have these available for purchase as well. I wanted to point that out. So sorry, John, you can go back to the question you're about to ask.
Yeah, let me pull this up. As far as solid surface, I got a question here from Arthur. He said solid surface use I think he's meant to spell keep nuts, not adhesive, or you could use either. So he's asking what can you use for something with a solid surface panel?
So we're talking about like Corian solid surface. I think either would be a good application. I mean, with adhesives, you could, solid surface is a very easy to bond material. With adhesives, I think you could very quickly and easily do it. I think depends on your process. If you want to be really precise on the location, if you're going to do it with a CNC, then I might kind of lean towards keep nut, where you can really precisely mark the location, drill the hole, tap it in. Otherwise, with very minimal equipment and no drilling, you can put so basically you'll save yourself a part. So I think cost effectiveness, I think actually gluing it is probably slightly more cost effective. And actually, if you have a CNC, you could just mark a location for gluing it as well. You could even have it trace a circle or something so you can find out exactly where to put it. So I would probably, on solid surface, I would probably lean towards adhesive, but I think either would work fine.
Same with like a thin-scape product from Wilson Art.
So that's an HPL kind of material. So that's like a phenolic material. So that's a more difficult material to bond. We're actually developing an adhesive right now for thin-scape. And we've actually have some customers already using it that are in the testing phase. And that's a little bit trickier. So it's good for like sieving and stuff like that. But if it's going to be hanging on a small point with a small surface area, I probably lean more towards a keep nut on a material like thin-scape.
Perfect. We got another question here. How did you attach the female to the porcelain again?
Yeah, the porcelain, it's as you may know, the perfect fastener for the porcelain is the keep nut. So we first place the keep nut on the tile. And once the keep nut is installed, we simply screw the FastCon that can be either male or female according to your needs.
Yep.
And that's all.
And if you're not familiar with keep nuts, feel free to contact us and we can give you some more information on that. That's slightly out of the scope of this presentation. But what I will say is that for a panel of that thickness, this could be done on a CNC, or we have an electric drilling machine that suctions to the back of the material, and you could drill a very precise hole in the porcelain. We have the bits that are designed to do that, and then you just simply attach the keep nut with a mallet. It's a totally mechanical system. And we could work with materials as thin as, say, 8 millimeters to 1 cm to 12 millimeters and then above. So if you need a methodology to attach, the FastCon to thin porcelain, that's a solution. And I think you could glue the FastCon to the porcelain as well, depending on what the engineering needs to be. Obviously, with the keep nut, you've got something mechanical there. So if with the weight of porcelain, you might prefer that.
That's great. We can wait around for another question or two, or if you guys want to wrap this up, that's up to you.
Yeah. So while we're waiting for any questions that might appear, I'm going to chance this one more time. I did get a note from somebody that the screen wasn't coming through. So let me just try this again, see if this works. let's see. So remove spotlight. So can you guys see this screen, the contact us screen?
I see it.
Okay, so hopefully it's coming in for you guys as fast, but we have the contact information up on the screen. We will email a copy of the, even though you didn't really see too many slides today, we did have a slideshow prepared with some backup information. So everyone that registered will get an email from us with the slides here, including the contact information, and the links that you see here will be clickable in the presentation that is emailed. So don't feel compelled to get your pens and start writing everything down. We will get this over to you. But this is some contact information. If you're interested in the FastCon, you have any additional questions that weren't answered here on the screen, you're interested in purchase information, what I will say is that these are available from Chemical Concepts. We've had a few distributors and we're opening up distributors in North America. So if you're interested in distributing this product, let us know. So far, at least one distributor, Monarch Metal, out of Long Island, has agreed to start promoting the product. So they're currently available from Monarch Metal and from Chemical Concepts, and more distributors TBD if you're asking where to find these. And then in the meantime, feel free to contact us directly. The only other thing I'd like to add is, these are available in different starter kits, so you can buy all the pieces kind of individually. And if you wanted to get a starter kit, and samples would be available as well if anyone wants to test some of these out. So did it, while I was talking, John, did any additional questions come through?
I mean, I had just have one just in comparison with the cladding aspect of it.
Sure.
Is how, I mean, obviously we have customers that are hanging panels, interior, exterior. They're using Z-clip type systems. I mean, how would you compare this to a Z-clip system? I mean, these are technically used for more lightweight panels. Am I not wrong?
Yeah, so there's a range of Z-clip systems, for interior and exterior as well. So, Z-clips is a pretty broad term. I think, obviously Z-clips are a great way to mount panels as well. There's a couple of situations where you might prefer to use the FastCon versus a Z-clip. One in particular is elevator panels, and really any panel where what Z-clips require is they require a gap at the top, because you have to drop the panel down into position. Because of the way the Z-clips, engage. So if you want to aesthetically cover the entire space and not have a large gap at the top, the FastCon application might be preferred. The other is some of the flexibility things that we talked about in terms of maybe you want to glue one side and you want to mechanically fasten. You have certainly a lot of options to fasten the FastCon. Also if you have panels stacked on top of each other, you might want, it'd be easier to remove the FastCon from the middle of a row of panels, where from a Z-clip, it's hard to remove the middle panel, for instance, without removing the panels on top. Yeah.
We can show them very, very quickly. With Z-clip or similar, you have to make this movement, go up, install it, and slide down with a very big space from the top or from the side, depends the way you do. In our system, we go straightly right in the position. So we can also mount it with no space at all and easily remove without moving the one up or the one down. So you go straight in the position and just press it. That is the biggest advantage comparing to the Z-clip family.
Yep. And so, both good ways of mounting panels. And then for exterior panels, again, you'd have to look at the engineering and make sure that the, wind load is not going to be a problem and everything like that. And then, if for really, maybe you prefer, a big extrusion system like they have for exterior cladding, if you're doing that. And then if the engineering works, or maybe it's just an access panel, that's where you'd maybe use the FastCon. So hopefully that answers the question. One last thing that just kind of popped in my head too, which is we had somebody ask us, what if you had the FastCon, you wanted to do a permanent application, but you wanted to use the FastCon to quickly snap it into place? And we did have an interesting idea about that, which is you could apply some adhesive to the flanges of the female components and then snap the panel in place. The adhesive will cure and bond the male and female components together. And then you would have a permanent panel where everything's aligned perfectly and it just goes in with a snap. So that might be convenient to some people that want a non-removable application. In that case, it's more of an alignment tool. Just wanted to throw that out there as give an idea to people.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I think that does it, barring anything last second question. But I guess we can end this here, guys. Andrew, appreciate it as always, and the great guys out in Italy. We got Andrea, and Giovanni.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys for all the assistance, and thank you to all the people that attend this webinar. And we hope to have fulfill your curiosity about our product. And we remain at your disposal for every further information, of course.
Yeah,
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day.
Yeah, so it's what is it? It's almost was it past 6 p.m. in Italy? You guys are going to go get a spritz now, is that right?
Yeah, no, we have to go to play paddle now. So we...
All right, have a good evening, guys. I love hosting these intercontinental virtual presentations. It's a cool thing that technology allows us to do today. It's always a thrill to me to host a virtual presentation across 2 continents. Great stuff. So anyway, thanks for everyone for joining us, like you said, and I hope to hear from everybody soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye to everybody.
See you.
Bye.